This program is going to be used to demonstrate an input file. Now, input files are a little bit different in that you have to create them first and put the input in them that you're going to read into your program. And the way you read them in has to exactly match up with the input file, the order and the data type. So you'll notice here I've included fstream, right, because I'm working with files. I've also included the string library here because I'm going to be working with some string variables. Here I am declaring an IF stream. That's an input file stream. That's the data type. The variable name is input file. I am going to be using 3 string variables, name 1, 2, and 3, so I'm going to list those here. And same syntax to open an input file as an output file. The variable input file dot open, and in double quotes here we have friends.txt. That's going to be the name of my input file. So when I create it, I have to make sure that's what I call it. So this is just going to output to the screen, reading data from the file. And you'll notice here, I'm going to read in 3 things, name 1, name 2, name 3. They're all going to be strings. So that's all that's going to be in my file, and then here I'm going to display the 3 names out, and then I'm going to close my input file. So I want to come over here to the add file, and I'm just going to create a file called friends.txt. It's just going to be a text file, and here I'm just going to put 3 names in here. Now just be careful when you're working with input files. When you put the data in the file, you see where my cursor is right after the E? That's the end of my file. That's where I want to stop. I don't want to hit any, see, this is leaving end of line characters out there. I don't want any extra spaces. It's not going to be important in this example, but later on where we're going to be using a loop, it will become important. So just make sure as soon as the data is entered, leave the cursor after the last character. Okay, so now I'm going to come through here and you'll see what it'll do is it'll read the first name into name 1, right, because it just goes in order, so that'll be Bob. Then it'll read Carol into name 2, right, and then it'll read Dave into name 3. So let's run this. And you'll see the names in the file are Bob, Carol, and Dave. So that's exactly what it does. Now, you can do something like this. I'm just, oops, sorry, not that. There we go. And this will work. I'm just going to comment these out for a minute. Okay. So you can concatenate or join together the input operator because, you know, it's not interactive. You don't have a cout followed by a cin. You're just reading from the file. So that will work. I'm not a fan of that when you are having interactive input, reading more than one thing at a time, but it does work with files. So I just thought I would show you that would work, but the way I had it originally is fine as well. Now, the problem arises, like let's say that we have the wrong file name. You can see here is my file name, friends with some extra s's, .txt. That file doesn't exist. What happens when we run, right? We just get the names in the file are nothing. And that's a problem because if I got this output, I might think there's a problem with my program, and really there's just a problem with the name of my input file. So it is always good practice to error check once you open a file to make sure that you've opened the file correctly. If it doesn't open correctly, then you should display an error message and end the program. You should not go any further. So here you can see I added this short if statement, and it goes right after the open statement. If, now input file is the name of my ifstream variable. If it opens correctly, that's going to return a true. There's a little flag in there that gets set that'll be true. So if it's true, I don't want to print out an error message, so I've used the not in front of this. If it's not true, okay, so let me say that again. So if this is true and it opened fine, not true is false, it'll bypass the if statement. If there is a problem with the input file, this will return false. Not false is true, and then we'll get our error message. I can't find the input file. So again, if we have this file name, we should get an error message. And we do, right? I can't find the input file. If everything works fine, right, then we get the name of, right, the three names. So everything looks good. So this is a simple if statement that you should put in your program. It goes right after the open statement. You should always have it in there when you're working with input files, because if your program doesn't run, you wouldn't know if it's because it can't find the file, because maybe you spelled it wrong, maybe you have the wrong extension, maybe you put it in the wrong location, whatever the case might be, or if there's a problem with your code. And in this case, there's no problem with the code. I also put this out here, input file dot fail, and you can see the parentheses after fail. This also works. It does the same thing. So the fail function would return true if there's a problem, and you would get the error message. It's just two different ways to do it. And the other thing I'll bring to your attention, when you create a file this way, like an input file, it goes into the current folder where it's working, and that's where your input files need to be. So Replit makes it really nice and easy. It automatically goes right where you need that to be. And just like output files, if you want it, if it was located elsewhere, you could put a path in front of the file name.